And now that we're on
What's up?
Thursday, what is up? This is
Weekend Eve.
Thursday, which you already know is our Friday. The Sports Bag Bros is back on the set, ready to go into the weekend, our weekend, and even your weekend with some sports in our wake. We talked about some great linebackers yesterday because we gave a tribute to the late Dick Buckus, the Chicago Bear legend, the NFL legend, the NFL legend, and man, legend of men. Anyways, today we move forward. We still remember him, of course. He'll be there forever until football doesn't matter anymore. That's not going to happen anytime soon. Sports going on all around us, even though we dedicated a show specifically to football yesterday. And now, some meaningful October baseball is taking over, and it's getting hot without all of the primary names. And another primary name might be out of it, the Atlanta Braves. What's going on here?
It's crazy, but let me start off by saying I erred in saying yesterday when I was talking about Robert Brazil. I did mention Earl Campbell and I said they weren't very good, but I was talking about the totality of his career. But they did make a run a few years. They made it to the AFC Championship, so I apologize. I didn't mean to imply that his teams always sucked. That was not my intention. Dr. Doom was badass. That's why I mentioned him. That's the point. But getting to baseball, Braves are in trouble. It's an all Texas ALCS.
Mm-hmm.
Dodgers got swept. We talked about it, or I mentioned it. I know those teams with the buys, they may have had too much time off, and the wild card teams, they get to keep playing. They stay in rhythm, and the wild card teams are being wildly successful right now
Yeah, but I think even
in
with
the
the
National
Dodgers,
League anyway.
you still have the majority of these teams that were together when the Dodgers did win a championship. So I think a lot of these people, or even the Dodgers, they've had bye weeks in the past and still were able to play and still be effective. And even the Atlanta Braves, they were doing the same thing just a couple of years ago when they got their World Series. That could have something to do with it. You just can't pass it along as nothing's wrong. But I thought a game or two would be enough to get your sea legs and start showing who you were during the regular season, even though this is a whole new season, meaningful October baseball. That means it matters. That means before, when there was a World Series in October, it's now November, but nevertheless, October is important. These teams need to know how to stand up. And the Dodgers were swept. I don't think it is a big deal because the Dodgers were swept. The big team, big city team, but the Diamondbacks doing the sweeping, I think, is the bigger problem.
Yeah.
I think that's the bigger problem for the Major League Baseball. Baseball fanatics, they love that kind of thing.
Yeah, from where you're coming from, I think it would make more sense if the Padres made the playoffs and they did the sweeping, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have Soto and Machado and Tatis, and they
Yeah.
have a killer lineup. Why they didn't make the playoffs? There's a lot of different issues, but whatever. But you don't think of the Diamondbacks of having a strong lineup like that. But does it matter? They won three in a row, and now they're waiting on the Phillies and Braves.
Yeah, that's insane right there. But I mean, they hadn't gone to an NLCS since 2007. That's a long time. And you know what? Outside of Arizona, who cares if they did go or didn't go? I think there's still people out there who can't even believe they won a World Series once upon a time when they had two of the most legendary pitchers in baseball at the time doing it. But the Diamondbacks, it's like a nondescript team, a team that's been put together with a baseball term, spit and tape. It's pretty much what has been put together. Their bullpen leading the way for a bullpen that no one knows anybody there really outside of, if you're a diehard baseball fan, you have an idea of what's going on in Arizona because you kept up with it all year. But when you talk about the East Coast, West Coast bias in sports and anything else, and then you look at a team as nondescript as it comes across as the Diamondbacks, this is a Cinderella story so far. You're really not going to know these things. You just see them just sneak up on you. You think they just was an overnight success after 162 games.
Right, but they're doing it in various ways, right?
Yeah,
Last night, four solo home runs. It was
yeah,
a
that's
playoff
serious.
record for home runs in an inning, and then they didn't do anything else the rest of the game. But that was all they needed. I mean,
Yeah, and the bullpen
offensively
was good.
anyway. Yeah. Um, to hold the Dodgers to 2 runs. I think I mentioned it. I said I might have been talking about a different series, But when you're down 0-2 and the other team jumps out ahead 4-zip, doubt creeps in. And the Dodgers, they did try to come back. They scored a couple runs, but they just couldn't do enough.
You would think with the firepower they have, and then you look at those two main guys who are taking the blame, and they were the ones who were talking about we need to get back into it. Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman, those two were brought in to be the leaders and the potent force they needed to be in order for the Dodgers to have any chance at all. Both of those guys, 0 for 8 yesterday against this Diamondbacks team. This Diamondbacks lineup that is considered nondescript. I mean, there isn't a Paul Goldschmidt there. He was the guy years ago. I wish he would have been there now so he can enjoy an opportunity to go to a World Series. But it's not for him this time. These Diamondbacks, these no-frills guys, it's going to be fun watching them play. No matter who they run up against, by the way.
And they had one of the coolest celebrations. They all went to the outfield swimming pool.
Yeah.
I don't know if all of them did, but I saw a bunch of them jump in the pool.
Taking a splash.
That's one of the better celebrations I've seen. Instead of just the usual champagne jump on top of each other.
Yeah, but how many times or how often do you see a team that does have a swimming pool inside the stadium? I think they got the idea from the Jags. The Jags did that. The Jags have a swimming pool inside the stadium. And I think they were the first team to do something like that I can remember. But anyways, yeah, the Jags have it. Last night you saw
but we gotta be honest though. It all goes back to Bill Veeck. Bill Veeck put the shower in center field at Comiskey Park.
Oh, okay. All right. I was just trying to see
they may have had the first swimming pool, but the first guy to think outside the box was Bill Veeck.
Well, that's probably true. You have someone like Shah Khan here in Jacksonville, not necessarily a football fan coming here, probably became a football fan after he left Pakistan. But anyways, that pool, and here in Jacksonville, of course, you need a pool anyway. It's hot as hell out there, and it's humid during these games. And it was at a time when the Jaguars was constantly losing. You had to find some other way of entertainment. So while watching the team, you might as well watch a small little race inside the pool over there. But baseball is reigning supreme right now. And damn, these Diamondbacks are just waiting. And who are they waiting for? They're waiting for the Phillies or the Atlanta Braves, with the Braves being pushed to the limit right now by the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies aren't a bad team. We already knew that part, but the way they went down and the way that the Braves had come from behind to beat them in Atlanta, they go back to Philly. We talk boxing on here. We talk about stare downs when there were big fights. This stare down was in baseball. Bryce Harper just showing it up with the Orlando Arcia. Hey, because Atta boy, you know how they take things personal in baseball. He had a chance to put two of them into orbit and get 2 stare downs, man, in one game.
Yeah, talk about a comeback, mic drop moment.
Yeah,
I didn't fault him for getting doubled off in that situation at the end of game 2. Someone tried to have a little fun at his expense. Maybe he took it personal. Obviously, running around the bases, he let his eyes do the talking.
Yeah.
What do you got to say now, pal?
He said he didn't even know about it because there was some quip made that some media member picked up, and they heard that Orlando Arcia said, "Atta boy," kind of obviously throwing shade at him. Atta boy that you kind of blew it on the bags. He sees that he had blown it on the bags. I don't know. People said a blunder. I don't know if it's a blunder, man. You thought the ball wasn't gonna be caught, but anyways, it ended the way it did. Double play from the outfield, but he comes back. He launches 2 of them. I mean, 2 monstrous shots. One that went to right field, the other one to center field, and then he gives him the look. And I mean, that Philly crowd, man, you got to give them credit. As much as they're known for either their football or their basketball, or just being hard on anyone and everyone, it doesn't matter, including Santa Claus. These guys is going at it. I love to see a baseball atmosphere like that.
Yeah, and looking at the 2 mindsets of the team, or at least my perception, I gotta think that the Phillies feel like, you know what, we gave one away, game 2, but we have control of it now. We got game 4 at our house. Let's go out there and end it. Where the Braves are like, man, they got to be feeling all the pressure. We got to win. We got to get back home. They got all the pressure on them. But I think the Phillies have all the momentum. Harper seems to be locked in. But it all comes down to pitching. One strong pitching performance Brave starter goes 8 strong, only gives up one. He gives his team a chance to win.
Yeah, the Braves do have the firepower. They've shown it all year long. These are young players, and a lot of these players, or some of these players, have been there when they won their World Series. Now you're talking about a new age, not too much later, of very talented players. The best record in all of baseball, the best team overall, in my opinion, talent-wise, from top to bottom, in all of baseball as it stands right now. But I think when you mentioned how the Phillies felt that the Braves got away with one. The Phillies were up 4-0 in Atlanta, and then the Braves came back and do what they've done all year in terms of just putting up the runs when they needed to. They win 5-4, but they can't be happy about the way they had to come from behind and just get this far by the skin of their teeth. They should have been shut out and put out the playoffs just yesterday if things held form down in Atlanta.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I think the Phillies are feeling good right now, and the Braves are feeling the pressure. Where's Ronald Acuna Jr.?
That's what I want to know. I was about to go to Walmart, check the milk carton and see what he's at. Like, bro, this is Jacksonville, not Atlanta. Go check those. But yeah, man,
he seems to be doing the Barry Bonds in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, exactly, man. Barry Bonds. I mentioned that one time, I think on our page a while back, and a guy just came at me about Barry Bonds. Man, he's one of the greatest. He is one of the greatest, but there was a time when he wasn't so great.
He struggled in the playoffs, man.
Yeah.
He'll tell you himself. I remember, I think he was like 0 for 16. He had an 0 for 16, 0 for 17 stretch, and then he hit a double. And he got to second base. He looked up. He took a deep breath. It was such a sigh of relief. Like, oh my gosh, I got a hit. He had to feel the weight of the world.
Yeah.
Everyone's saying he can't hit. He's a choker. He's choking, and he hears all that talk and he's feeling that pressure. But he got that hit. But before that, he was choking.
And let's not fool ourselves in thinking that these players don't watch media or don't listen to media, or when the reading was out there with papers, they didn't do that. Because there was a player here in Jacksonville, Aiken Adele, playing for the Jaguars, and he was in a studio one time and we were talking to him about a game, and they were a big underdog. Oh, we don't worry about the newspapers, this and that. We don't even pay attention to that. I don't even know what the odds are. But when they won the game, he comes about those odds. You know what I mean? They were upset about the odds. Yeah, because you pay attention to those things. It is a slap in the face. A lot of times you see these teams with double-digit underdogs in the NFL, like if there's a 13 or 14-point underdog. They don't beat the spread a lot of times. They don't cover. The favorite doesn't cover. Sometimes they lose that game because these dudes do think about that when they see a 14-point or 18-point line in an NFL game. That's an insult. So they do come out there. The pressure is always across the board. Everyone has to step up in this game. And if Acuna has to come back from Walmart out of the dairy section just to show up and do something for this team to give them another opportunity, well, they're going to have to do it. There's no other way around it. I just think
to do something. He's got to step up.
In Philly, and knowing how Philly fan can get, and knowing how the team could really feel that vibe from the Philly fan, even though just yesterday, or day before yesterday, I think I said that the baseball home field advantage doesn't mean as much. Well, I guess when there's meaningful October baseball on the line with the opportunity to play in the World Series eventually when you go to the next round and then win that one, it does matter for a team like that. And so the Braves have their work cut out for them. I can't even say with any certainty, I don't think anyone can, not even Braves fan, that they're going to win this game. I just don't see it.
Braves can help themselves the most by scoring early, getting out ahead, jumping in front, putting the pressure back on the Phillies. If they go down 1-2-3 in the first, man, that crowd's gonna be going crazy.
Oh, yep.
And if the Phillies score first, whoa, the pressure's gonna mount and mount.
Yo, let Bryce Harper hit another one first. I think they collapse. I think the Braves can't handle that, man.
It may be the bat flip for all bat flips.
Oh, for real. If he does that first inning, if he gets an opportunity in the first inning or even second inning, and early in the game, he puts one in the orbit, whether there's someone on base or whether it's a solo, that's going to set the pace for the rest of the night, in my opinion, because the crowd will be into it. They will not leave it alone. And then everybody else gets juiced up, and it kind of gets whoever, the Braves have out there they're still young players, a lot of them. They might get a little agitated by that, being on the road and not having that home field or home field advantage or feel to it. They can get their butts kicked, but that's another
Yeah.
Great
We
game
we
coming up.
usually don't make predictions unless we talk about we're going to make a prediction. But I think you said it. I don't think the Braves are winning tonight or tomorrow night, whenever they play.
Tonight.
Yeah, tonight. Yeah, I don't think the Braves are winning tonight.
I don't think so either, man. And it sucks because I was on that bandwagon all season. Even when the Rays were playing as well as they were playing out of the gate, I still thought the more talented team and the better team in the long haul. We saw how many plays they put into the All-Star game. We thought that the Braves, well, at least I thought the Braves were going to be that good, and they were. And they proven it. They had the best record, etc. They did play in the NL East, which isn't all that great, and now they're going against one of their NL East brethren, and it's not the Mets. They're taking on the Phillies a little further south. And there's a problem. I mean, there's a problem. They're not even in Houston, but Houston, we have trouble in Philly. That's how it goes right now. So, man, but then we move on to, well, the Battle of Texas that we talked about. The Rangers, the Astros, the true Battle of Texas. Someone finally has to separate themselves from the other because they both ended the season with the same record. I mean, come on. I mean, the Astros did win the last time those two did play one another, but once again, meaningful October baseball is here. So now, but I think the Rangers have more of an edge because they have some serious momentum going.
Yeah, but so do the Astros. You know, they beat the Twins in 4 games. It's not like they struggled. The
No,
Astros
but
have
a
been there
sweep is a
before.
sweep.
True, but the Astros have been there before too.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, they didn't have I think it's an advantage. The advantage of playing the first round, where the Rangers did, they've been able to stay in rhythm and keep their rotation and things like that. Where the Astros had to sit and wait, but they only gave up one to the Twins. Now they're on the level ground, and like I said, I think that because the Astros have been there before, they have a lot of experience. I
Mm-hmm.
know the Rangers are putting up runs, Seager and Simeon and those
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
But I mean, if they get anything out of Jose Abreu, I mean, he hit
Anything.
two bombs the other day. I mean, that's a bonus. Abreu's not what he used to be, you know. But if he's gonna go yard once or twice in a game,
That's
that's a
gravy.
bonus to the Astros because those other guys can hit, man. I mean, their lineup is lethal.
Well, I'm trying to pick a team here, and I want to go with the Rangers, not because I don't like the Astros, because now they're the new nemesis after all the Yankee garbage going back and forth. Yeah, Boston's still on another level, but yeah, the Astros are a team I'm looking at with ire now. But yeah, I'm going to take the Rangers legitimately, not because I don't like the Astros, because they are hot. They both are hot, but I think that the Rangers are hotter right now, and they're an up and coming team. I think that the experience does matter. We don't go out there and say that experience doesn't matter in baseball because like right now with the Braves, they do have some experience, but they still have young players that can get a little flustered on the road, like they'll be in an environment like Philadelphia tonight. So yes, it goes for for the Rangers too, a younger team. They're younger than the Astros. The Astros are the ones the old guard, but I'm still going to go on a limb. I guess the
So,
Rangers. We'll just have to wait and see how
so
that turns out.
I'm picking the Astros, but I'm hoping for the Rangers.
Okay. Hey, you know what? You're probably going with the smart money there too. So hey, let's see how that works out. So that'll be the talk for the baseball right now. And on Monday, we'll have a lot more answers than we have right now because the series will start up between the Astros and the Rangers while we're off the air as we go Monday through Thursday. So Friday is not here. That's why today's our Friday. And it gives us a chance to go into some football because another week of NFL football is upon us. Thursday night football, once again, Denver and Kansas City. Well, I'm sure when they made the schedule and they looked at what was going on, they saw Sean Payton, they see Russell Wilson and his offense, and they see Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. This was supposed to be a primetime game that people could sit back and wait for. The old AFC West deal. Not exactly what we're expecting. I think
Not so
Kansas
much.
City's a 10.5 point favorite, I believe Kansas City is. They probably win by more than that. Likely win by 20. I mean, this
That's
is a
what I,
pretty
that's
bad
what I was
team.
thinking. That's what I was thinking. You know, and Kansas City's defense, but they're playing better than they were last year. You
Mm-hmm.
know, their defense seems to have improved, although the Chiefs' offense seems to have regressed because of the wide receiver issues they've been having. But as long as you got Mahomes, a healthy Kelsey, a healthy Pacheco, The offense should be able to score, especially on that defense. They gave up 70 to Miami. They
Yeah,
gave up
exactly.
30 some to the Bears. Yeah, it's probably
Anything
going to
to
be
the
like
Jets means something.
42-17, if not worse than that.
And just to let the Jets score on them with Zach Wilson, that's another problem. So I don't even know. You don't even care about the score. The fact that you let Zach Wilson sit behind the center and be on that part of the winning ledger shows that. But you know what? Travis Kelce does have an ankle injury now. So he's going to be slowed down. I know they can give him the shot, or he could take the aspirin before the game and go out there and try to be Travis Kelce of old, or old Travis Kelce, but he's still better than half the NFL tight ends, even at half speed. But I still think that Denver doesn't have anything to offer. And I think teams are going into games against Denver trying to top what or trying to get to, or at least top what Miami had done to them. I think they know they can go in and just throw points up. I mean, this is the NFL. I know things change from week to week, but I think that I would not. This is the type of team, Kansas City at home in prime time, not two prime time teams, just one, because Denver isn't a prime time team. I think this is a team that could put some serious numbers up. It's a 49.5 over under. I think that's easily obtained tonight.
Yeah, like I predicted 42-17, right? So I mean that
Yeah,
goes
right.
in.
So there you go. Take
But
the over.
I don't foresee anybody putting up 70 again. I mean,
Nah,
Sean Payton, he may be an asshole, but he's not an idiot.
nah,
If it's going that way, he's not going to be chucking the ball downfield,
he's gonna
getting three
run.
and outs. Yeah, he's going to start running that clock. You might get to 50, but you ain't getting 70.
It'll be second and 15. He'll just do a draw play, trying to slow the clock down. Forget about it. He's
Exactly.
not even trying to get a first down.
Exactly. I mean, if he's smart, which I think he has to be, right. He's in the position he's in, right. So
Yeah, oh, absolutely. These are supposed to be the best of the best coaches. We usually find out sooner or later if they are or aren't.
but
Sean
hey,
Payton, at
I
least,
tell you what, I haven't done a hit list in a while. If another team scores 70 on the Broncos again,
bro,
I'm
they got to
I'm
get
put them in the crosshairs because you
the
cannot allow
entire
that to
team,
happen
man.
twice. You cannot allow that to happen twice. There's something you can do about it, no matter how bad your team is. You can contribute to assisting the other team in scoring 70 by throwing incomplete passes, having you guys run out of bounds.
Stop the clock. Yep.
You're stopping the clock. No, man, run that clock.
Yo, bro, we haven't had someone through the crosshairs for a while. So would you even take just 50? Will you take 50? Oh, come on, man. We got to get somebody to crosshairs. If 50 happens tonight, man, something's got to happen. 50, 55, that's a college score. That's not supposed to happen in the NFL, especially not too far removed from 70 points getting dropped. And the irony of all ironies, when you look at this game and you look at the two teams participating, Frank Clark, the defensive end who plays well now, plays with Denver, who came from Kansas City, he wants to get the hell out of Denver now. He wants to get the hell out of Denver. He realizes he made a mistake. He wants to get out so much that he's going to give up $3.5 million of his base salary. He's going to take the league minimum of $841,000 just to get the hell out of here. Now, on the
He's
surface, he's
looking
not
for the
getting.
transfer portal.
You know what? You might want to go play for Dion, man. Come on, play for Pro Coach Prime. That's in Colorado too. But he's going to play for $841,000 at his base salary. Now, he's not asking for a trade, but they think that by him taking that type of a pay cut makes it easier for him to get traded. If he's willing to take that kind of a pay cut to get traded, he's already admitted his mistake of wanting to go to Denver, probably believing what Sean Payton had to say, thinking that Denver really had something, thinking even Russell Wilson had something. If you look at what they had given up just to get him between draft picks and players to get Russell Wilson and to get this result, they could have kept Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, I I don't know, man. He must be desperate to take that type of pay cut. I mean, it shows his desperation. I just don't know if they will accommodate him. Sean Payton, like I said, he's an asshole. He may be like, man, I'm not going to trade you.
No, they've already negotiated the deal.
Oh,
To
have
where
they?
yes, he's taking
Oh,
that pay
okay.
cut. So he's going down to $841,000. And what the media is speculating, and sometimes when you do this, it's probably because you're trying to make it easier for it to get traded, because of course you're taking money off the books, and he renegotiated on his own volition. So he just wants to get out and
Yeah,
probably latch on with another
but
team that can use him.
that that defense is atrocious now.
Yeah.
Once they trade him, it's going to get even worse. And then they might give up 70 again.
You know what? As long as they don't do it before 8 o'clock at night or 8:30 at night, get rid of them. Yeah, because you know what? Hey, that just shows you the desperation in the building. We don't know anything about what's going on behind the scenes with Denver to where it's at this point. I thought they would make some improvement this year, but there may be something behind the scenes, whether it's with Russell Wilson or even with Sean Payton himself or somebody else out there. Unbelievable. I wasn't expecting this. I was hoping things didn't work out with him because of the nonsense he was talking in the off season, but I did not expect this. I gave him too much credit. I don't know if I gave him too much credit. He deserved the credit he had gotten going into this because of his background and because of what he's done in the past. He has a Super Bowl ring, but he also had Drew Brees. You have an old Russell Wilson now who was already declining before he even left Seattle. But anyways, that's what we have
But
on.
it's not the offense really that's the issue in Denver.
The defense, 70 points.
Right.
Everybody and their mother scored that game. As a matter of fact, I think the mother really did score in that game. Two running backs that have 4 touchdowns apiece. 8 touchdowns just between your running backs. And then you forgot you have receivers out there, so you gave them some too. So it was just a lot going on. But yeah, that's the game tonight. Prime time, but only one prime time team. But if you're there for sadistic reasons, you might want to watch this defense get beaten up and down the field. And so this Sunday doesn't have a lot of big games, but the biggest game I can identify at least is Detroit and Tampa, and only because of their records. You know, Detroit's going to Tampa. You know, you don't believe in Detroit right now. There may be people out there because they've seen it in the past, don't believe in Detroit. But going on the road to Tampa, who's a one-loss team, they're still a 3.5-point favorite.
That's because Vegas believes people are buying the hype. They're going to leave Tampa with an L.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking, but I thought also, you know, it's like almost every game is the next game.
My
The
boy
next
Levante David.
I'll tell you, I'm telling you, man. I'm thinking that every game is the next game. If you don't think they're as good as you thought this game, see, they just lucked out in the last game. The next game comes up. They find a way to win, then you kind of look forward to the next game. Well, this is that game, I think, with Tampa being what they are at home. They're 3-1. Baker Mayfield's been up and down, but when he's been on, he's been on. You know, and so I think we'll have a better idea of what Detroit is about after the Tampa game this weekend.
I agree with that, but I'm almost positive they're coming home with an L.
I almost don't want to pick that game. You know what? I'll take the 3.5 if I'm Tampa. I'll take the 3.5. You know, it's close enough. They be good both ways. So I'll take the 3.5 plus 3.5 Tampa Bay, Detroit coming to town, because if they still win, it still kind of leads toward me saying, hey, Detroit's going to have a better year this year. They've already exceeded expectations, in my opinion, and we only threw 5 games. So, excuse me. So we'll get a chance to see what's going on there. And so another thing in the NFL, as time goes on, Odell Beckham, is that someone you've thought about at all this season? The injury, the knee, this, that, everything. He's a little upset himself that he's not available for his team or even being effective when he's available. Is he damaged goods?
Well, my son's a Ravens fan, so yeah. In the absence of good games, I end up watching the Ravens if the Bears aren't on. Mm-hmm. And he has not looked good. He just looks like an average receiver out on the field. He's made a catch here or there, but the explosiveness, he's not showing it. I don't see him beating cornerbacks down the field. He's not getting behind the defense. He's just not the same.
So the injuries look like they might have caught up with him
Definitely.
After all this time. I mean, those are devastating injuries he had. He has himself a Super Bowl ring. He was having a pretty good game before that injury in the Super Bowl, but he hasn't really been the Odell Beckham from the Giants, well, since he left the Giants. He's just been, more anticipation than anything else. We think he's going to do this well, and then he doesn't do that well, and then there's an injury. And then he still talks a lot, makes these Instagram videos, and then there's an injury. Or if there's no injury, well, there's no production, or there's very minimal production. And now I think he's caught up in his own depression of what's going on.
That could be. But like I said, he doesn't appear to be close to what he used to be.
No, not even, because if so, we would still be talking about, not like Randy Moss, but he was making some hellified plays when he was at his very best. Injuries happen all the time. Even Randy Moss had injuries, but Randy Moss still came back. And even Randy Moss had a lull in his career when he went out to the Raiders. Didn't play that well. And then he comes back over to New England, sets records. You know what I mean? Well, the quarterback had a lot to do with that, but you get that quarterback with that kind of talent, that wide receiver, in my opinion, the most talented receiver to ever play the game. And probably to the day I die, that might be the case. But, he was able to get his yards and show that he was still the main dude. Odell Beckham hasn't done it in years. He's just getting by on fumes right now.
Yeah, I don't foresee him ever reaching top level status again.
Nah, and that's pretty easy to say too, because he hasn't done anything to and they thought that he and Lamar Jackson getting together would have made a dynamic duel. On paper, if you still remember what he used to do, Lamar Jackson still looks like he's trying to find his own way. But I thought he kind of figured it out after all of these years. And then he goes back to just not making a whole lot of mistakes, but not really being the dynamic player you want him to be at the quarterback spot, not just running like everyone knows he can do. We know that part. I think we need to know with consistency, can you still pass the ball? Or if you can pass the ball, if you can decipher these defenses when it matters most. And he does it on occasion, but he doesn't do it with the consistency you need to justify the contract he has, or even to talk about how he's still one of these elite players, which I still believe he is, believe it or not. He's still an elite player in the NFL. Just a player, but a quarterback. I don't know. I think just player.
I think he's getting sort of a bad rap. As I mentioned, what was it, Monday? The Ravens dropped 8 passes.
Yeah, that's true.
Three of those were in the end zone. And of course, he fumbles on the last drive, so he's going to get killed. But if they catch those passes, it's not even a game, and he's not having to drop back and pass. It's victory formation. So I don't see how people are going to kill him. He's making pass here, pass there. That's dropped. 37 pass drop, touchdown pass dropped, another touchdown pass dropped. I mean, how can you put any blame on Jackson? He makes one mistake compared to 8 of his teammates' mistakes, and he gets all the blame.
But you already know what comes with being a quarterback in the NFL and what comes with getting that huge contract that he eventually had got. Even though that's not fair.
If I'm the quarterback, if I'm a quarterback and I throw you the ball 4 times and you drop 3 of them, and now I drop back and you're the only guy open, and you think I'm going to pass it to you again? Now I'm second guessing myself.
Yeah, you're second guessing yourself.
That's human nature.
Second guessing the guy supposedly doing his job too. As
then he throws to Andrews, supposed to be one of the top tight ends in the league, and then he dropped it. So now Justin's like, who the fuck do I throw the ball to?
I understand what's going on through his head, but from a fan standpoint, it's an argument of convenience for the ones who don't like him. It's accentuating what they've said all along. He's not that good. They can watch the player drop the ball. They can watch a perfect pass drop, and they'll still blame the quarterback. They'll probably yell at the person who dropped the ball, but then they'll still talk about how Lamar was one of the reasons why it happened. He should have thrown it to him, or whatever it is, wide open.
They're idiots if they say that. Well, he threw the ball too hard.
I heard things with Brett Favre back in the day doing that. The 10-yard line, just throwing it like he was freaking 80 yards away, just breaking guys' fingers, man. I'd have been pissed off too at that cold-ass Lambeau Field catching those rocks. But, we'll get to see. I think, and for you, I guess we can just skip along, but for you, your Bears taking on the Minnesota Vikings, I think this is also a litmus test for the Bears.
Well, let's not act like the Vikings are. Let's not act like the Vikings are a good team. They've been struggling.
That's the point I'm making. They're not, because we'll get to find out if the Bears are still on that level where they were in the beginning of the season against Green Bay, or have they now, with all the crap seeming like dying down,
okay, I got you,
putting something together, and the team that they probably flop against because same old Bears is now a team that they can dominate, a division foe, and they look like, they're up there with Detroit. They're waiting for the opportunity at Detroit.
Yeah, and Justin Jefferson's going on the IR, so he's not playing Sunday.
They're
talking the Bears may have their entire secondary back from injury this week. I don't know if that's a good thing because Eddie Jackson sucks. His replacement wasn't bad if you ask me, but whatever, it is what it is. People think he can still be a ball hawk. I can't remember his last interception, so how is he hawking the ball? Whatever. He still has more experience than the rookie who came in to replace him. So, but getting Jalen Johnson back is huge. He's their best corner. Jaquan Brisker, he's the the hard hitter in that secondary. He'll come up and make a good hard tackle where Eddie Jackson will do olays. And your boy Tariq Stevenson, he's on the other side.
Yeah.
I think they have a chance to be a good cornerback tandem, him and
Oh,
Johnson.
yeah.
And the Vikings being down Justin Jefferson, that's going to make their job easier. But Kirk Cousins, he's leading the league in touchdowns, right?
Yeah.
And
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 second
the,
in
and
passing
the Bears
yards.
defense isn't very good, so it might be a shootout. If the Bears offense has ascended and they do have a rhythm, they are able to protect Justin Fields, and he's able to read defenses and go through his progressions and hit the open man. Well, it could be a shootout.
And remember, Justin can still run the ball. Don't let all this passing, getting these passing touchdowns, 8 passing touchdowns, 1 interception over the past 2 games, fool you. He can still run the ball. They know that as well. And DJ Moore coming off a 200-plus yard receiving game, I'm not expecting him to do that again, but you know he's capable of about 120, 130, 150. And if he can do that consistently, be that kind of a quarterback for Justin Fields, things open up. The running game was even effective last week.
Yeah, it could be the Bears caught the Commanders sleeping, right? Uh, we're not going to double DJ Moore. Justin Fields can't get him the ball consistently. But the Vikings, I'm sure they're not going to make the same mistake.
Nah.
So Mooney's going to have to step up. Komet's going to have to step up because DJ Moore is going to get a lot of attention Sunday.
He is, and it may open up those opportunities for the young quarterback, Justin Fields, to do more than just rely on one receiver, feed everybody, and then still have the opportunities to run the ball. And he still needs that protection on the offensive line as well, which he probably is going to get if everyone's back, everyone's healthy. It can't be worse than it was in the first game of the season when a disarray aplenty with the team and the organization. Things look like they're settling down. And if they can take care of Minnesota, hey, it's just them in Detroit seeing who's best in the division, because I don't think Green Bay is going to be anything special with Jordan Love this season, maybe next season. But anyways,
that's the big. I talked about earlier how Payne, he can't allow a team to score 70 on him again. Like he's seen that movie before. He should do something to stop it. You would think the Commanders would have done something different.
I was about to say, what did they realize about DJ Moore at the 150th yard? We might have to do something different.
You got burnt for 3 quarters. But you stay out there in the 4th quarter. We won't give you no help. And plus, I think they had DBs going down, so that might have even been the backup. You gotta get some help out there, man. Can't leave them 1-on-1. And DJ Moore proved that.
Yeah, he was brought in for a reason.
He must have forgot.
They must have forgot. Just throw that little Roy Jones in. They must have forgot. But I tell you, and I'm anxious to see what happens with this Minnesota team. Not that I'm a Bears fan, but I do watch them from afar. I'm not a Bears hater, but I like to see the way the journey has gone and the way you react to it. Also, seriously, man.
Hey, they got me watching again. They got me watching again. I wasn't watching earlier in the season. Most of that game against Denver when they were up 28-7, I missed most of it. I was watching a different game. I think it was the Bills.
I thought that game was a
game I was watching. Because I want to watch good football. I want to watch good football. And I was seeing the score come across the bottom. 7-0 Bears. I'm like, wow, they scored early. 14-0 Bears. 14-7. 21-7. What the hell's going on? So commercials, I was switching. And then I did the side-by-side. And then the Bills took control. So I ended up just going to the Bears. And, of course, as soon as I moved over to the Bears, that's when it all turned. So it was my fault they lost.
Okay, you and a whole bunch of other people that were watching the crawl and like, oh, wait a minute, let me go back to this game. We don't want to see the national game. We want to check this one out. But yeah, man, this is going to be something.
When it was 28-14, they had a 3-and-out. I was like, oh, that's ball game. They're going to lose. I knew it. I just knew they were going to lose. And they
Welcome
did.
to Jets world. Welcome to Jets world. That happens on occasion, man. You'll be up by 14 points at a 2-minute warning, and then you really got you where they want you now. They just beat you. But anyway, that's the biggest game, as I already mentioned, this weekend in football, in my opinion, was the Detroit-Tampa game. I mean, there may be other people who think their game is big because it's their local team. But to me, as far as records go and teams that may be on fire or just hot, Detroit being hot, Tampa being kind of
Cowboys,
lukewarm with that loss.
Cowboys got the Chargers.
Cowboys. You see, I look at the Cowboys as a third-rate team now. So, yeah, I
I
don't
was
know.
just saying, if they can protect Herbert, they may leave San Diego with an L.
Yeah, leave San Diego with an L and probably about 40 points dropped on them, which is always a good thing. We've seen it last time when they played the 49ers. 42 were dropped on them. But before we can get to that Pro Bowl, there's College Bowl the day before. And now Colorado's back. Not a lot of buzz as in the beginning, but of course, as soon as the games get closer, there's more buzz. They're 4-2 right now. They're playing Stanford. They haven't played Stanford in quite some time, a couple of years. But they did win against Stanford the last time they played. But needless to say, no one in this team was on that team. That was just, 2-3 years ago. So I'm looking at another. This is a horrible Stanford team. I haven't seen Stanford this bad in years. I mean, years and years. Even when Bill Walsh went back to college football, I didn't see them this bad. But anyways, Colorado.
I think it's more worthy to talk about Shador's NIL deal than it is about this game.
Yeah. So what's up with his
Valued
NIL
at
deal?
$4.8 million. He passed your boy Archie.
NFL contracts. So you know what? People complained in the past about players just leaving college early. Now they have a reason to stay sometimes just to get this guaranteed money. You know, instead of unless you're one of these guaranteed number one draft picks or somewhere close to that, you know you're going to get this huge bonus. Man, it doesn't hurt because I see Shador, if he goes in the first round, it'll be late first round, in my opinion, if he came out next year. Maybe even second round after the combine, but that's just me. But that kind of money for a college student and he has more eligibility left, what's the rush? You know, if money was the reason why, it's one thing. The dream of being in the NFL for a lot of players is, getting to the NFL, but that big money that comes with it. And so if you're getting that in college, the rush might not be there. You know, get yourself insured the same way you did before the NIL deals. Lloyd's of London is always going to be there for you if you really feel that you're going to get that big money. But yep, Colorado back in Boulder. They took on Arizona State last week, won, but it was closer than I thought it would be. Now Stanford, they 12.5-point favorite against Stanford. I think they beat Stanford relatively easy. You know, they do have a pretty damn good offense, Colorado, and that crowd is still buzzing regardless, whether it's a huge game that's nationally televised or not. They're still buzzing about the Sanders effect. And so that's one of the games that we throw out there. Also, Bama's taking on
Hunter's back.
Who?
Travis Hunter should be back.
Hunter, yep, I heard he practiced, so he's going to get in there. But how much does he play? This was a liver injury. That's just insane to think about. You know, I think Shiloh's coming back as well. So, you know, they got players coming back, and it's a home game, and the buzz is going to be there, and they should be able to handle Stanford. So that shouldn't be that big of an issue. Alabama, I don't think they moved at all. They were number 11 last week. They're number 11 again this week. I don't think people are really buying into them being Alabama's back, and I think it has a lot to do with Jalen Monroe. He did look like a quarterback a little bit playing against Texas A&M on the road last week, but he's still Jalen Monroe. And they, you know, I don't know. They're taking on Arkansas, who isn't doing much this season. But I think they're still looking at Alabama from the standpoint of games moving forward. Are they going to separate themselves from other teams? And I just don't think so because that quarterback situation is so bad. The defense is top-notch, one of the best, if not the best in college football. Offensively, I just can't see it. So playing Arkansas.
Is Miami playing Clemson this week?
Miami is playing North Carolina this week.
Oh, that's right. Never mind.
This week, Miami's playing North Carolina.
But they got Clemson after, right?
Yeah.
That might be.
You know what? Before I was like, coming out of Miami, so the hell.
It can't be 3 L's in the row, Trav. Come on, man. The boys got to step up.
Oh, bro. You know, this was the game I was looking at.
That disaster last week.
Absolutely, because I thought this would be the game that would be the biggest problem. Even though I was a little leery of Georgia Tech, I still thought, okay, we have the home field advantage. The triple option is always an issue later on in the season. But Miami's so much better than they were last year or even a couple of years before. They should be able to handle them, and we saw what happened. It was just complete. It shouldn't even have been that close for that to be an ending. And now they go into North Carolina, the team I thought would be a problem. They would have been a problem in Miami. They're an even bigger problem in Chapel Hill. It's not Butch Davis, I'm thinking about Mac Brown, the head coach. We already know what he brings recruiting-wise. We know about Drake May now, who's obviously, if he decides to go to the NFL next season, will be a first round draft pick and probably battling for that number one pick overall if Caleb Williams doesn't come out with the nonsense he's saying. But anyways, I don't want to go against my boys on this. I won't even say anything about who's going to win or lose. But 2 L's in a row, not looking good. Before I say, well, Clemson's coming down to Miami, but after last week, so the hell what? Clemson could come down to Miami and win just like Georgia Tech just did. But I'll be looking forward to this game, and this will show a lot of what Miami is about.
Man, you talk about letting the air out of the balloon. If they go to Tallahassee with 3 L's, man, that's gonna hurt my feelings.
Man, you might have to change your plane ticket for a balloon, a hot air balloon to come fly into Doak Campbell. Oh man, and it would have been excellent if they were both undefeated. But I can still take a one-loss Miami team. Let's not act like Florida State can't lose a game. But the way they've been playing, they had their scare, but they've gotten back on track. But man, this is a game that we're looking forward to next month on the 11th. But let's get past this North Carolina game first for the Miami Hurricanes in order to just go in as a one-loss team and then still have to worry about Clemson is trying to remain a one-loss team and not just have a bad outing. But anyway, and Miami's a 3.5-point underdog, which they should be. I'm surprised it wasn't more. I thought it'd be 6, 7. Going by the way North Carolina's been dealing with them in the past with their with their home field advantage and coming to Miami. It doesn't matter. For some reason, North Carolina has Miami's number for some damn reason. But then you have South Carolina and Florida. No one cares about that game. But the only reason why I mentioned it, because I'll be at that game. Yes. I'll be leaving on Saturday morning to go to the South Carolina University of Florida game. And as the Gator hater I've always been, and I'm glad to have been to be one, well, I'm waiting for them to lose. But we'll have to see that too, because South Carolina isn't doing great themselves. Florida.
All I say is travel safe.
Travel safe, yeah. And try to get back. Yeah, right? I'm trying to get up there early. Got some nice seats. See how it is. The only reason why I'm going is because I was at the Gator Bowl this past December when South Carolina played Notre Dame, and I love that crowd. And I told the people I was sitting with in that area, I'll come to one of your games next season. I just have to figure out which one. Well, this is it. So I'll be there. Next year, I'll be out in Eugene, Oregon for a game. They'll be in the Big Ten by then. So I have to figure out which game that's going to be, but we'll talk about that when that happens. And then the biggest college game of the day, finally, Washington, number 7, against Oregon, number 8. Something has to shake out between Oregon and Washington and the Pac-12 leaders.
I'm a dog lover, so I'm going with the Huskies.
You know what? It's in Oregon, I believe. I think that game is in Oregon.
I don't care.
And if it's in Oregon, I'm going to take Oregon because they're just so rabid. I know what they did to Colorado. I'm not going to even look at it as if Colorado was good enough to be in there with Oregon because they weren't. And they did exactly what they should have done against Colorado. Washington's a better team. Michael Penix is a better quarterback, in my opinion, than even Bo Nix. And I've been a Bo Nix fan since he was at Auburn. And
I think people are sleeping on Washington, and Oregon's getting a lot of respect because of what they did to Colorado. And, they've handled business so far this year. But I think this is Washington's week to get their respect.
Well, and that's true. If they can do it, they would have earned that respect. I'm looking at it, if nothing else at all, playing in Eugene is such a tough thing for any team coming from the outside in, Pac-12 teams in particular. And I just think that, Washington, Michael Penix had some problems where he did not throw a touchdown or interception, just compiled a bunch of yards, had close games. I think Oregon just has too much diversity on offense to beat them. And we've seen it against Colorado, but we'll see it now at home against a tougher team, a team that they can get up for. They got up for Colorado too, but that outcome was expected, in my opinion. They have the running backs, they have the receivers, they have the quarterback that can run as well. And then defensively, they get after the quarterback. So Penix isn't going to be able to sit back there. And he runs a bit, but he's not a runner. But he has a freaking blazing hard arm at lefty. So, yeah, that's great. So it's going to be the best game of the weekend, in my opinion, in terms of high-ranked teams. So anything before we shut this down?
No, I think I'm good.
Yeah, so we could just.
Oh, wait a second! I saw a headline. Zion's in his feelings, man. People asking him about that hooker or prostitute, whatever she was, that trick. And he's like, "Oh, this he don't want." Hey, bro, face the music, man. Just deal with it and move on. The more you ignore it, the more you allow it to fester. Face the music, bro. You did it.
Yeah.
deal with it and move on. People, they have questions. This is their first opportunity to ask you about it. Don't be a jerk.
And he's always been known as a nice, happy-go-lucky guy, at least publicly. And I've never heard anything about him other than these poor decisions he's been making with these 304s over the past couple of months, several months. But hey, you know what? You made your bed, sleep in it. You're not the first. You won't be the last. A lot of NBA players had to answer these questions at some point or another when they screwed up too. So, look at the nonsense Michael Jordan had to listen to when he came back from his retirement. And people still speculated, were you really suspended or did you really play baseball because you wanted to play baseball? Nonsense like that. And he had to answer it. So whether there was validity to it or not, he had to answer it. And he kept it classy. He didn't flip on people. He didn't hide from it. He had to take it all head on.
That's all
So
I'm saying. Just answer the question. You don't have to divulge a whole lot of details or, give a lot of information, but just answer the question and move on.
that's it. It's supposedly that simple. And just as simple as it is, we're heading into another weekend of sports. And so we'll be back on Monday to talk about what happened in the past weekend. It's going to be baseball. It's going to be, well, maybe even some basketball. Some news pops up or something nice goes on during the preseason games. Football, college and pro, we already know what the Sunday is going to hold for us. And if there's 50-plus points dropped tonight, well, we might come back on Friday. No, we'll just wait till Monday to let you know all about it. Until then, I'm biased. Well, you're biased. What's going
I'm
on?
biased, dude.
Look at this, man. I'm biased by being just being a Yankee fan. Yeah, he's biased. I'm Trav, and this is the Sports Bag Bros podcast signing off on our 70th
Have a good
episode.
weekend.
Weekend.